Hi, welcome to Ellie Invest. Today I will share with you why I chose Cambodia to invest in. So I was researching, trying to find which countries is good to invest in real estate. And I was focusing more on ASEAN countries because I stay in Singapore and ASEAN countries are nearer, and also frontier markets which are emerging gives me higher potential. After researching, I shortlisted a few countries like Cambodia, Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines, Myanmar, Laos, and Vietnam. And I look at which currencies these countries use. And for Malaysia, they use ringgit, which used to be 2.5 is to 1 Sing dollar 10 years ago, and currently it is 3 is to 1. So if you had bought a property in Malaysia, you would have technically lost about 15%. And for other countries like Dong, it used to be 16,000 is to 1 Sing, now it's 17,000 to 1 Sing dollar, which is also another 10% drop. For Cambodia, I realized they are one of the largest USD-based economies. Singapore is hugely tagged to the USD, so by Cambodia using USD, it makes me feel that in terms of currency, it is one of the safer choice. Next, I look at the ASEAN GDP. The top 5 countries with GDP of 6.7 to 7% are Cambodia, Myanmar, Laos, Vietnam, and Philippines. These were my top 5 shortlisted ASEAN countries. Next, I look at inflation rate. Inflation rates is important because the government usually aims for 2 to 3% inflation rate. If inflation rate is too high, it means interest rate is high. And if interest rates is high, meaning if a developer takes loan from a bank, their interest rates will be high. And if developer pays high interest rates, the attractiveness of investing in this country becomes lower. If the country is less attractive to develop, it means that there will probably be lesser construction, and lesser construction means it will take longer for the country to develop. That's why high inflation rates like Myanmar, Philippines, Indonesia, and Vietnam was out for me. So that narrows this to Cambodia and Laos. I zoom into the GDP of Cambodia and realized for the last 10 years, the GDP has been an average of 7%. This year, due to the current pandemic, just like every other countries in the world, the forecasted GDP is 2.3%. And going forward is forecasted to be 5.7% in 2021. So the growth has been very consistent for the last 10 years. Prior to the pandemic, it has been 7%. And I believe after the pandemic, it will pick up because emerging countries are different from developed countries. Developed countries, a lot of us are used to taking loans. But in countries like Cambodia, Laos, the locals there are not used to taking loans. They prefer to come up with cash, and if they don't take loans means that there is no defaults on loans, and no defaults on loans means that you won't have this property bubble risk. Okay, we look at the overview of Cambodia. So Cambodia has 15.29 million population. Its average age is 24 years old, medium age, so very young population, young workforce. 99% of the 10 million labor force are employed. So low unemployment rates and young working force. And we look at in 1993, they are considered a low income country. And come 2015 to 2020, which is right now, they are now a lower middle income country. And going forward, if we look at 2050, 30 years down, they are likely to become an upper middle income country. And when they become an upper middle income country, it means that property price will definitely increase. Now we look at Phnom Penh, which is the capital of Cambodia's land prices. We look at Phnom Penh land prices. The prices have been going up slow and steadily, especially in the inner CBD like Seven Makara, Phnom Penh, and Chakamon area. For property, this is the most favorable chart to see, which is very stable growth of property prices. We don't want to see a sudden increase. It means if there is a sudden increase, there may be a sudden drop, which is something like the stock market, very volatile. So for Phnom Penh real estate, I see that the land price has been going up steadily, and this is what I usually look for when looking for property. And I compare its neighboring countries like Thailand, Bangkok, and Vietnam, Ho Chi Minh City. And we see the per square meter of Ho Chi Minh City is actually gone up to all the way to 30,000 per square meter. And for Bangkok is 20,000 per square meter. As compared to Cambodia, it is only 5,000 per square meter. This chart shows that there is much more potential for Cambodia and room for Cambodia to grow. I'm not saying that Bangkok and Ho Chi Minh has no room to grow. It will still definitely grow because they are still considered a frontier market, but as compared to the other two, Cambodia has even more potential to grow. Just like 20 years ago, if you have had a holiday in Bangkok compared to now, you will see that it's so much changes. And in Cambodia, it's the same. In 2014, about 6 years ago, was the first time I went to Cambodia for a business trip. I used to be an arts teacher, so I was teaching arts over there. And the airport was half the size of it is currently. There was no Starbucks, there was no 5-star hotel. And currently, end of this year or next year, Shangri-La 5-star hotel is there. When I was there, there was only Naga World 1. Naga World 1 is the only integrated casino hotel in Cambodia, in Phnom Penh. Basically, they monopolize 200 kilometers radius within Phnom Penh to be the only hotel casino there. And in 2017, they opened up their second Naga World. This goes to show that there is a lot of tourists like Hong Kongers, China tourists, which are coming there. That is why there is a demand to open up the Naga World 2. And upcoming, they are intending to open a Naga World 3, which the CEO has said that there will be an indoor theme park in Naga World 3. So, a lot of changes I've seen. I've stayed in both Naga World 1 and Naga World 2, and this is a video of me at Naga World 2. So for under USD $100, I get to enjoy such luxurious hotel stays, and I had even an in-house massage service. When I first went there, there was no mega malls. 2015 or 2016, they opened up their first mega mall, which is ASEAN Mall. It's a 7-story shopping mall with ice skating rink, 4D cinema theaters, and international brands like your Fish Manhattan, Fish & Co., Seoul Garden, fast food like KFC is there. So very recognizable brands over there. And even our local Singapore, Charles & Keith and BreadTalk has also gone to Cambodia. The standard there is really not what most of us expect an emerging country to be. Okay, now let's look at some news. Chinese money flocks to dollar-based Cambodia economy. Cambodia economies boost the highest growth rate in Southeast Asia, the region seen as the engine of the global economy. Cambodian exports to US soared 42% to US 1.6 billion in Q1. So with this current pandemic, most countries will stop relying fully on China for imports and exports. They will look at other countries so that they can diversify the risk. And that's why we see that the exports for rice for Cambodia has soared up this year in Q1 and even Q2. And we see big brands like 7-Eleven, China Unicom are all going to Phnom Penh, and Hilton Hotel even opened its first Cambodia hotel alongside with other 5-star hotels which are already there like Shangri-La Hotel, Sofitel Hotel. And China is Cambodia's largest foreign investor, largest bilateral donor, trading partner, buyer of Cambodia's rice and tourists. And Cambodia is also part of China's Belt and Road. And lastly, political stability. So who is the Prime Minister of Cambodia? It is Hun Sen. Hun Sen has been the Prime Minister of Cambodia for 35 years. The longest serving head of government of Cambodia and one of the longest serving leaders in the world. So now let's recap. Why Cambodia? foreign exchange using USD, stable economic growth, low debt to GDP at 7% the last 10 years, low inflation rates, no foreign exchange control, part of China's One Road, political stability, and lastly, investor-friendly. Foreigners can own a freehold strata-titled unit. Just like me, I fully own a freehold strata-titled commercial property in Phnom Penh City. This is the overview of Cambodia's real estate market and the research I did before entering Cambodia's real estate. Thank you for watching and stay tuned if you would like to know where and what to invest in Phnom Penh, the capital of Cambodia.